Hello, everyone. Welcome to our Spiritual Spotlight series. Today, I am joined by Joseph Patrick Fair. He's an author and writer in the field of self help and police fiction. His books focus on overcoming adversity, confronting inner demons, and living life fully. Thank you so much for coming on the Spiritual Spotlight series. I'm so happy you're here.
Thank you, Rachel. It's my honor to come on and let's have a interesting conversation.
I love it. So before we talk about your book To Die a Hero, I want to ask you this. So you've had a fascinating journey of transitioning from police fiction to self-help. What initially drew you to these distinct genres and how do you see them intersecting in your work?
Yes, I went to police fiction at the very beginning because I was told by my writing coach, start out writing what you know. And well, I did police work and I was a firefighter also. I kept notes, little binder with ideas, mostly stories that I experienced, some that people told me. I said, wow, that's a great story. It's got great engagement. So I had that binder. I retired. I got my pension, was a little bored for about a month, said, I'm going to write a book. So I went on LinkedIn and said, hey, I need a resource here. I need a writing coach. Got connected with Susan. And then she looked through the binder and a Google Doc I had, and she said, you definitely got a book here. It's just going to take a lot of work to get it right. So that was about 3 years ago. After releasing the book and having that experience, I connected with people online, and somebody said, "Boy, you should write some self-help." And I connected with Oneness Magazine. I wrote about 3 different articles for them. Eventually, they connected me with somebody on staff, and we wrote a beautiful article, overcoming adversity
Oh, I love that.
in Oneness Magazine. So the pivot was through networking with people and getting advice from other readers.
So you brought up two very interesting points. One, you're a police officer and a firefighter. And two, I like that you were bored for 1 month of your
1 month,
retirement and then
yes.
decided to do something else.
I said I have to write a book. Correct.
So with being a police officer, something that we talked about before we got started was that you had a soft touch. And I would like you to kind of tell me a little bit more about that and what exactly that does that mean for you and maybe in your police work.
Yeah, in police work, there's a lot of discretion on how you're going to handle a call. You go to a 911 call, often, let's say it's a barking dog. You take a complaint from the person for the noise. You go to the person that's the dog. You explain to them, okay, this could be disturbing peace. There's a way that you can interact with people and build trust. And never really step out to the authority side of it.
Mm.
Approach it more like I want to be your friend and I want to mentor you more than screaming, barking commands at people. There's a couple different ways to do law enforcement. When I went to a 911 call, I tried to get a feel for what is the minimal necessary force and the minimal necessary communication to solve the problem and help the community, and then ended at that. That's really the style of police work I did, and uh, built a lot of friends, and always knew in my community had a good standing. Could count on people to help me if I needed help in my community.
I love that. And I think being a police officer, having a soft touch is so important because you're such a valuable member of the community. And to meet people where they're at, I think is such a valuable resource. I'm I'm thinking about myself. I manage a doctor's office and I'm like, man, I wish you could come in and do some training.
It really gets down to this will upset a few people when they hear it. It's really gets down to managing your own ego and your own self perception. It really has to do with I'm just another human being. I'm here to serve. I have a servant's heart. I want a good result. I want the highest possible result for everybody involved, opposed to that other thing. If you're in a doctor's office, that occasionally people talk down at each other, and there's no good outcome out of that experience.
That's very valuable advice to like take your ego out of it and take your whatever personal things you have going on. And you're 100% correct. When I'm not in my ego, I can have really good, meaningful conversations. And when I'm not, it's I need to work on it.
we all have a little thing inside of us that can get tripped. And when we meditate a little bit and find that thing, and we know where our soft spot is, then we become much better at talking to people and not getting reactive. I could think back to a time maybe when I was 14 or 15. I had a lot of little things in there. It was really easy to trip me up. And as I got to be 30 or 40, is way better at that. I think people should focus on looking inside a little
Mm.
bit, figure out where the soft spot is, and then hopefully let go of that energy of maybe a wound or something you had in childhood to make you a better communicator.
So, with talking about that, looking for the soft spot, I know one of the things that you have really practiced is meditating, and you may have struggled with having a busy mind. Can you tell the listeners maybe how you identified the soft spot, and then how were you able to kind of calm your mind and calm your body to have a good meditative practice?
Yes, it really gets down to for me when I get up in the morning, I can kind of set the day where the day is going to go, and often I wake up in the morning and instead of having 4 cups of coffee, I might have two. Then I do my deep breathing. Then I do a guided visualization, and then what I have found is that there's different resources on YouTube,
Hmm.
different places. You can buy a Headspace app or whatnot. I've got to get my mind into more of a peaceful thing, thinking about peace and love and joy and connection, opposed to turning on the news and getting stirred up by headlines and whatnot. So, taking ownership of where I'm at in the morning,
Hmm.
how long I need to meditate to get to a peaceful state. And then when I feel completely peaceful and I write out my to do list for the day, I'm ready to go. There was a time before I did what I call preparation work, then the work would stir me up.
Mm.
And then in the afternoon, maybe I was upset I couldn't do anymore. So take inventory of the mindset, do enough meditation to get into peace, and then monitor it to the day. Occasionally in the afternoon, I will lay back down and listen to Louise Hayes or something to get but it's getting honest. I got to get honest
Yeah.
where my energy's at, and then I got to take action to fix it.
Oh, I love that. I will say that even today, I listen to mindset training like almost every day, even when I'm at work. I'm always playing something like just to recenter, remind myself, okay, go within, go within. I like that. I like that you have a really solid practice. That's amazing.
The work by Michael Singer, it's called The Untethered Soul. When he gets into that thing and explains that we all have a monkey mind and it really wants to protect us, it wants to see hazards and tell us to turn left here and right here, or let this phone call go to voicemail, or pick this one up. Uh, when I learned that practice of getting back from that, detaching from the monkey mind and observing it, boy, that's done a lot for my meditation and getting peace in there. I would recommend anybody struggling with meditation go look at that
Mm.
material he's put on the
It's a
internet.
great book. That
It's
is a
it's a
great
it's a
book.
great book, and he has a podcast, and he kind of explains that thing why people can get obsessing, and their mind obsesses on worry, and then they get embedded in that. It's hard to pull out of.
Yeah, absolutely. So, with over a decade of writing experience, you emphasize resilience, confronting inner demons, and fully living life. Maybe what are some personal experiences that have influenced this theme focus in your books?
Yes, in my life, I struggled with the problem with alcohol. I had to go to AA and get sober. And overcoming adversity, I learned a lot about overcoming adversity through failure with attempts to quit an addiction. And I came around to this idea when I finally got 15 years of continuous sobriety that our mental state each day needs maintenance. We can't
Mm.
just a little bit like a car or something, or brushing our teeth. You need to daily take inventory. Where am I at? How stressed am I? How much work should I do? Do I need a day to go on vacation? Whatnot. So I believe overcoming adversity, facing demons, and all that comes from life or God giving us the opportunity to face our own, figure out how we did it, and then help other people do the same.
Oh, I think that's amazing. So, your writing is described as bridging a gap between the lived experiences of your readers and the possibilities ahead. How do you balance narrating authentic experiences while infusing them with hope and optimism?
Yes, that's a very great question and very complex question, but I'm going to try to put this in just the simplest way possible. What I have learned through writing is that often part of the struggle that we have in life is our mind is a little disorganized, and the more disorganized it is, it's probably the harder it is for us to stick to a goal, complete something, a project, something like that. And writing of any kind in a journal, writing out your ideas, looking at a piece of paper, reading it every day, whatever, can focus our mind and can give us little, I guess, there sparks of hope that on a spiritual level, I should take. I have a problem. A, I have a problem. B, I have a solution. I should connect that problem and solution together. And then that done on a small basis, day by day, gets bigger and bigger and bigger. And then we can face bigger challenges. But I like to say maybe like the first day you're jumping over hurdles, and then the next day you're running over the hurdle, and a month or a year later, you're teaching somebody how to jump over hurdles on a track. And a person's got to be patient with themselves and
Yeah.
realize here's get honest about what you've had, the experiences you've had, what you've learned, and then that convey that to other people.
That is amazing. So let me ask you this. The book that we see in your background is To Die a Hero. This is the first book in the End of Watch series. Can you
Yes,
give us a sneak peek into the inspiration behind this series and what readers can expect from this book and future installments?
yes. The book is a classic. Joseph Campbell's hero's journey is a fiction book in the interest of avoiding conflict. And what I did when I first wrote the outline of the book is I really asked myself, what things that I experienced or heard or talked to people really gripped me and maybe even dragged me down emotionally, weakened me, figured out that what stirred me on the inside, something that made the hair stand on end, something that I struggle with, or going to a call, and maybe the next day I got up and I had trouble facing another 911 call. I looked at what really had an effect on me, and that's what went into that outline. And in most books, you have a problem, a cliffhanger, and a solution. And it's got 3 acts, and each cliffhanger gets a little worse with a problem and a solution. And if anybody's interested in buying the book, they can grab it on Amazon. It really explains from a intellectual perspective what a police officer faces every day, and probably gives somebody a good look if they were to ride along with the police officer and see what they go through every day. Probably gives them a good visual picture of what that's like.
Oh, that sounds amazing. I would have no idea what it's like to be a police officer, just my own assumed thoughts. But this is like an account of I like that.
Yeah,
That's interesting.
it's a little bit reading the book, what people have told me, reading the book is a little bit like watching the old version of Cops on Fox, where you'll get these little blurbs and you'll see people at some of their best at moments and some people at their worst, and a few police officers exercising grace and a
Yeah.
few of them falling from grace, and uh, quite a few people have wrote me glowing reviews. I
Oh, I
am
love
so
that.
fortunate on Amazon. It's 4.7 out of 5. And there's a lady in Chicago. She's put anonymous in the thing, but she wrote out about a 2-pager on there. And she basically explained that the book touched her in a very deep way and that she was gripped by it. So that's why I write, the
Yeah.
commercial aspect and connecting with my readers.
I love that. And honestly, I mean, right now, unfortunately, some police officers have a stigma against them. It's not a very good reputation, unfortunately. And this sounds like it is kind of debunking some of these thoughts and perceived.
It's debunking, and if I may say,
Of course.
the media probably twists certain things, and I'm not here to debate any of the things that are
Of
in the
course.
media, but I am here to say that everybody I worked with came into work every day with the right attitude, did all the right things for all the right reasons, and wanted to improve the community. And everybody out there deserves a police force like that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That's amazing. So let me ask you this. As a mentor and a speaker, you've shared numerous inspiring stories with audiences worldwide. Can you maybe share a particular moment or feedback that reaffirmed your purpose in this domain?
Yes, I think of all the things I've spoke on and read on, the thing where I can add the most value is post-traumatic stress disorder. I have a chapter on that. I have a beautiful magazine article at Heroes Media Group, which is a digital print magazine by Adam Bird. Um, I had an experience in my life where people talked about post traumatic stress. Then I got into public safety. Then I had experiences that brought me to post traumatic stress. Then I
Mm,
discovered probably most people don't understand what it is, how to help people, and how to possibly solve that problem. I'll give a simple overview that what really causes post traumatic stress in most cases is a person works too often, they work too much overtime. They go to a very difficult call. They don't process that call and they go to a secondary call that's worse. And that's my experience for me, what
mhm,
happened to me that triggered it. If I hadn't been working the overtime, if I had a time window between the two heavy calls to process the first one to go to the second one, it probably would have happened to me. So post traumatic stress gets into a lot of complicated things. If you're somebody who is around somebody that has post traumatic stress, the thing to keep in mind is the best thing you can do is try to talk them in to getting to a counselor.
mm,
It doesn't really matter who the counselor is, just somebody, if it was a spiritual person, a preacher, or a board certified psychologist, possibly even a doctor, get them to the resources, let them grieve out that pain, feel those emotions, process this, and get into a healthier place. What most people don't realize is occasionally in post traumatic stress, somebody's having a flashback and their mind is actually captured in that moment. And that's why they behave so bizarre because they're sort of reliving that struggle, that freeze moment or that fight moment, and they do need to get to a counselor to solve that.
that is very interesting. And I don't know about you, but working through COVID and having to be like kind of one of the first responders, I definitely feel like even now, like we're still going through post traumatic stress and like it's just these like it's feelings and I like how you put that. It's like a series of events that lead you to kind of cycling over and over this moment that you need to
Yeah,
get some sort of either spiritual or professional help to kind of release it. And I like that. I like the way you
I
put that.
I'm not a doctor, but I hypothesized one day that if somebody gets to a complete adrenaline rush where they go up the adrenaline, they dump, and then they go into that adrenaline dump, and then they go to another call and they're completely out of fuel, their adrenaline gland's done, they feel different. It's substantially heavier. I can't put into words why that is. When the energy's there and you rise to the occasion, that adrenaline feels good. But when the adrenaline is empty and you can't rise to the occasion, there's a lot of frustration there. And I would like to see some type of scientific study, if it could ever be done, to figure out the connection between adrenaline fatigue and post traumatic stress disorder.
Absolutely. That's very interesting. I'm like I'm needing a scientist out here to test this.
Yes, yeah. We need somebody to write out, somebody who's qualified to write out a study. I'm not
Guys,
sure how you do that study. It might be very unethical
we
to
could
run out.
probably no, but the thing is, like, honestly, you could draw labs. Like, I'm sitting here
Yep.
thinking, like, you could draw labs and really test it out and
You
just be
could
like,
look at the
okay,
blood. You could
yeah,
have somebody at adrenal fatigue and
yeah,
failure and draw the blood and look at the cortisol, and
yeah.
then you probably would get something, and then figure out how many people at that level. go into post-traumatic stress,
Yeah,
and then we will know what that connection is. And then I believe the solution, if there's anybody out there listening, that probably public safety officers need more time off. And
absolutely.
this 12-hour shift thing that people fall into, it probably needs to be changed. And then that other thing, they should be able to put their hand up when they know that they're spent, put their hand up in the middle of uh, a shift
Yeah.
and go home, let supervisor take over.
I 100% agree with you, and I will say it's not just with public safety, I can even see it in medicine.
In
The
medicine
amount
should
of
should be the same
providers
way.
that I hear that they're so burnt out, and it's just it's this 24/7 mentality,
Yeah,
and us as humans is taken out of the equation. It's just you just keep moving and moving, and that it gets becomes very stressful.
very
So,
stressful.
all right, we're gonna wait on Joseph to come up with a study with a scientist. I love this.
We'll get a lab coat scientist, and then when they go to to adrenal fatigue, we'll have a nurse write out
Yeah.
labs,
Oh,
right?
I'm
And
a
we'll just
registered nurse. I'm good. We got
write out
it.
the labs, draw the blood, and look at the cortisol, and we'll
Listen,
collect the data,
already got
and
this.
we'll write the paper.
Guys, see us in scientific journal in about
Yes,
5 years.
it'll be there. Somebody will do it, and
100%.
somebody may have
They're
done
already working on it. So
something
let me
similar.
ask I love that. So let me ask you this. One of the things that you do offer is you have personal writing career coaching.
Yes, I do.
It offers an exciting avenue for budding authors. What's the most common piece of advice that you may find yourself giving to those looking to break into the writing industry?
Yes, anybody interested in breaking into the writing industry should ask themselves if they have a unique story. They should ask themselves if their story is similar to someone else's or if it's unique. The sheer value of bringing a book to market has to do with a unique experience. I think, let's just say, if somebody had lived a life that was maybe semi-charmed and never broke a nail or stressed or had stress, they may not be able to write a gripping book. It is
Mm,
actually it's the pain and suffering. So if you really want the honest answer, somebody that's had some tragedy in their life, they're pretty much guaranteed to write a really good book and get a good commercial response. And that is the thing. The other thing I would say to people is start out with a magazine article or a blog post or something, and then build author platform and then write a book. It's way easier to get the book sold if you've already have a few other things. I work with people all the time to get them a blog post or a magazine article, get them warmed up, introduce them to other writers, and then write a book after that.
I love that. I mean, it sounds like I mean, a lot of people have ideas to write a book, but I like this more personalized approach, and you're
Yes.
actually connecting them and you're helping them. That's really amazing.
I
So,
can, oh,
go
let
on.
me pause you for a minute.
Yeah, go on.
To get anybody past the fear of it, I can start a Google Doc with anybody anywhere in the world that might be listening. We start a Google Doc. You put in your idea. I put in my idea. We work together. We make a good article out of it, and it can all be done online on Zoom. And never have to meet in person, and it's very economical. Some people I work with a small deposit. So I'm sorry, commercial here,
No.
but yes, anybody that wants to write, contact me.
So let me ask you this: if anybody does want to write or have more with your books, or you have all these amazing articles online, what is the best place for them to go to?
The best place to go is Joseph Fair at LinkedIn. They'll want to connect with me on LinkedIn and possibly send me a, a personal message, or they could go to josephpatrickfair.com. That's my website. They can go to the bottom of the homepage there, put in their information. I will see that as a message on my website and I'll get back to them. So, either way, whichever is best, LinkedIn or my website is the best way to connect with me.
That's perfect. So for our last question, what's next on the horizon for Joseph Patrick Fair?
Well, I have had a moderate amount of success, and I have figured out that I get a lot more enjoyment out of seeing other people get success also. Right now, I would like to get a dozen people into my writing group and work together, collaborate on some big project. and hopefully build a big group of writers who could someday write a masterpiece.
I love that so much. I love that so much. I just want to say thank you so much for coming on the Spiritual Spotlight series. It was amazing to connect with you today.
Hey, Rachel, it was my honor, and thank you for having me on.
Thank you.